Frogbit blog.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Frogbit blog, the Frogbit blog podcast. I'm going to be looking at people who prefer to live with wolves. Ed Sheeran's coming back on the show at the request of his lawyer, and I'm also doing a feature on Fish
Frogbit
Clever.
blog. Frogbit blog. The Frogbit blog.
But first, corrections and apologies. Well, I'm going to have to apologise to Ed Sheeran big style because his lawyers have been in touch. But it's such a big apology that I'm going to do it later in the show. So what I'm going to do, first of all, is get on with what's been in the news recently, okay? Oh, big controversy around Chris Packham this week. I go on We Support Chris Packham on Facebook. Well, Chris is in trouble, not with them lot, but Chris is in trouble, all because he's had the temerity to endorse and be part of the Cotswold outdoor clothing range. Nothing controversial about that. You'd think, nice fella, great principle, loves wildlife. What's up with that? Well, the Cotswold website and Chris Packham's own Facebook page has been inundated with pro-animal abuse trolls, and that includes leaving unsavoury pictures around. I mean, what is up with these people? Well, we know what's up with them. I'll tell you what's up. They're scared. They're scared because they know their time of killing animals for fun, is coming to an end. Now, it is easy to hate these people, but let's not hold too much hatred in our hearts, as it diminishes us, doesn't it? They are misguided people, and we can defeat them, but by being organised and kind and move forward with love in our hearts. Now, remember, the vast majority of people in this country are against hunting and killing wildlife, and we must use that majority. Look, I know majorities can be manipulated by the press and powers that be, but this isn't the case in this instance, is it? The majority of people know it's wrong, and the majority instinctively know it's wrong. They haven't been brainwashed into thinking this because there's no one out there doing the brainwashing. We all just know this, don't we? We are on the right side of history, and we must do everything we can to work towards bringing an end to animal suffering. Amongst other issues, we need to be focusing on not destroying the planet, but we need to be kind and we need to do it with love, because hatred will only change the world for the worse. We have to be better than that. So what can you do? Well, in this instance, if you're going to buy any outdoor gear, think about buying it from Cotswold Outdoor. And when you do, tell them it's because they endorse Chris Packham and all the good he stands for. Make sure that you only vote for parties that put animal welfare in their manifestos. Press your MPs, get active, but do it with love in your hearts, love for animals, love for the planet, and love for humanity. Oh, and if they do fall off a horse and die or shoot themselves by mistake, then I am going to take the piss. Okay, this love thing only goes so far.
The Frogbit blog.
So, what else has been in the news? Here's a bit of news. In 2016, 2 League Against Cruel Sports investigators were brutally attacked while monitoring the Belvoir hunt. One of the investigators, Daryl Cunningham, a former policeman, was treated for broken neck vertebrae after the incident. Well, yesterday afternoon, George Grant, the Belvoir Hunt Terrier man, and his son Thomas Grant pleaded guilty to charges of grievous bodily harm on investigator Daryl Cunningham, actual bodily harm on investigator Roger Swain, theft of a video camera and criminal damage of a memory card. Sentencing has been adjourned until June the 14th. The attack took place on March 12, 2016, close to the village of Stathurn in Leicestershire, and involved 2 convicted men and 4 unidentified masked men who punched and then pushed the investigators off a 14-foot escarpment before escaping with one of the investigators' cameras. I am very lucky that the assaulters left me with no long-term serious injuries. After falling 14 feet, finding myself unable to move, I fear I was paralysed. The offenders showed no remorse and left us injured. The fact that they refused to cooperate with the police shows no remorse or concern. Well, let's hope they get a very long sentence for that. And I don't mean one without commas or semicolons, okay? So what else is in the news? Well, you know I always jokingly slag farmers off. Well, here's something they can do with their land as well as killing wildlife and insects. They'll soon be able to cover them with solar panels. A Purdue University professor is developing a way for farmers to capture solar energy without blocking the sunlight their crops need. The solar collectors has been developed by chemical engineering professor Rakesh Agrawal and his colleagues would capture infrared radiation for energy production while letting visible light pass through to the crops. Yep. We are going to build this structure. He's Indian. I'm not going to do an Indian accent. Okay. We are going to build this structure on agricultural land. We have an agronomist who will grow corn and we will monitor the land and make sure we can produce electricity and grow food at the same time. The day we figure out how to have food and energy coexist together, I think is perfect. Okay, so they're going to build a farm and experiment. And what happened is it was after research. He spent 3 years trying to make biomass fuels more efficient. Unlike photovoltaic cells, which currently have an energy efficiency about 20%, biomass fuels contain less than 1% of the solar energy that fell on their feedstocks, which isn't very efficient, okay? So he realised that it wasn't very good to try and expand biomass production. We were asking the wrong questions all the time, he said. We were asking the question of how to make oil from biomass or from solar. But why do we need oil? Actually, we need oil for transportation. We should have been asking the question, how do we use solar energy for transportation? Yeah. And what his system proposes is to employ hydrogen as transportation fuel produced with solar energy. Clever, eh? This would also generate electricity much as solar panels do now, but without capturing the visible light that plants need. And they could also reflect heat to a collector for water purification. So Agrawal believes a system could meet food, energy and water needs of a growing population. So you have solar panels that let the light through so that the plants can go underneath and they can turn it into hydrogen and they can collect water. What a great system if that works, eh? Isn't that clever?
The Frogbit blog.
So what else has been happening? Well, after my feature about Mr. Lister, remember Mr. Lister is the bear of the laird of the fair of the baird of the weird, the wolfman of Scotland. The bloody Guardian only went and did an article on him 3 days after I did my show about him. Do you think they've been nicking my stories? Look, Guardian, I nick them stories off other people. I don't expect you to go nicking off me. I'm going to sue you for every penny that I don't have. And talking of wolves, there's actually a feature in this week's Guardian that I'm going to nick off them just to get my own back. And it's about people raised by wolves. And it says, would we all be better off living with wolves? A Spanish man apparently raised by wolves says since leaving the pack, he has been disappointed by humans. Have others reportedly reared by animals felt the same? Well, here's the story. In 1965, people living in Spain's Marina Mountains discovered Mocos Rodriguez Panjota, who has been dubbed the Mowgli of Spain, who had apparently been living in a cave with a pack of wolves. Pantoja's mother died when he was young and his father sold him to a local farmer who probably covered him in chemicals. No, to a local farmer who also died soon after. Pantoja, who was the subject of a documentary in 2010, estimates he was 6 when he retreated into the mountains to live with the pack that was to become his family for the next 12 years. Now 72, he has revealed that in the years since, human life has been a disappointment. He has even attempted to go back to the mountain, but as he told El Pay, it's not what it used to be. The wolves have forgotten him. If I call out, they are going to respond, but they are not going to approach me, he says. I smell like people. I wear cologne. Well, stop fucking wearing cologne then, you daft sod. Wear some eau de wolf. And then there was the story of the Chilean dog boy. That's a nice name to give someone. ABC News reported in 2001 that the dog boy, who has not been named, all right, that's why they called him dog boy, was abandoned by his 16-year-old mother and, after spending a period in care, fled to live among a pack of wild dogs in a cave. The The boy would scavenge with the dogs for food and eat out of bins. It is said the boy wanted to remain with his new family so much that he even jumped into the Pacific Ocean to evade capture by the police. How would jumping into the sea help evade capture? All the police would have to do is throw a stick into the sea, and you'd grab it between your teeth and bring it back to shore and they'd just grab you. That wasn't very clever, Chilean dog boy. And another one. Shamdio was 4 years old when he was discovered in a forest in India in 1972. According to photographer Julia Fullerton Batten, who recently undertook a project called Feral Children, he was playing with wolf cubs. He had sharpened his teeth. I'm sure she didn't speak like this. She was posh. I should have got married to this. He had sharpened his teeth, long hooked fingernails, matted hair and calluses on his palms, elbows and knees. He was fond of chicken hunting, would eat earth and had a craving for blood. The boy died in 1985. It's not clear if he ever fully adjusted to life with the humans. Well, he should have come and lived in the northeast. He'd have fitted right in there.
The Frogbit blog.
And while we're on the subject of animals, I'm currently reading a book called What a Fish Knows. No, by Jonathan Balcom. I think I've said that wrong. It's What a Fish Knows. Because fish don't have noses, which is why they smell funny. No, they do have noses. It's eyelids and ears that they don't have because they don't need them. And it's funny that I should read a nature book like this one because, as you probably know, I don't believe in cod. Anyway, I'm not finished it yet, so I'm just going to tell you a couple of facts about them. If you remember, I've talked a few times about fish and how they get a raw deal, not sushi, how they get a raw deal because they live in a different dimension and most people find it hard to warm to them, don't they? As humanity just primarily sees them as a food source to be plundered. So I'm here to speak up for the fishes. And talking of plundering, one of the saddest facts I came across was the calculation that in an 8-year period from 1999 to 2007, if you put all the fish killed by humans end to end, they would reach to the sun and back with a few billion fish spare. And of course, the prognosis that the world stocks of seafood will have collapsed by 2050 at present rates of the destruction by fishing. Yep, scientists have said. So they're not getting a raw deal and we're going to completely wipe them out. There's going to be no more fish left. But I don't want to dwell on the negative things. I want to talk about some clever things that fish do. Because fish are really clever. Aren't fish clever? Well, they should be because they've been around a lot longer than us. Yeah, they have. They were here first. You remember, we crawled out the sea. They've been in the sea and they just didn't bother crawling out. They can be trained, yep. They can be trained to pick out different shapes, circles, squares, triangles, for rewards. We know this. We also know that when they set one of those visual puzzles, like the Muller-Lyer illusion, I don't know if you know that one, and there's two lines of equal length and both with arrows on both ends, but one of these sets of arrows is pointing outwards and one of the sets of arrows is pointing inwards, and it gives the illusion of one of the lines being longer than the other one, even though they're the same. Well, this fools fish too, as well as humans. So in some basic sense, they perceive the world as we do. They fall for the same optical illusions as we do, which is really interesting. But they can also see better than us. They have more cone cells, so that they see a wider range of colours, including UV. In fact, fish invented eyes. Not only did they invent eyes, they also invented television. No, sorry, they invented colour vision, yeah?
Wow.
Further, they also make lots of noises. They can use a wide variety of bodily functions, such as grating their teeth in their jaws, grinding additional sets of teeth lining their throat, rubbing bones together, stridulating their gill covers, and even expelling bubbles from their arses.
Oh my God.
And they still manage to sound better than Ed Sheeran. I'm going to have to add another apology to him, aren't I?
Oh, yeah!
They can produce a veritable symphony of sounds, and we give them description. The descriptors we've given to these sounds includes hums, whistles, thumps, stridulations, creaks, grunts, pops, croaks, pulses, drums, knocks, purrs, burrs, clicks, moans, chirps, buzzes, growled and snaps. Isn't that a lot of different sounds? It sounds like a breakfast cereal, but it's a lot of different sounds that they can make. That's amazing. And they don't even need ears to do this because they don't have ears. We used to think fish were deaf, but they don't actually need ears because water is such a good conductor of sound. And fish have loads of bits inside them that's good for both producing and processing different sounds. Now, a lot of these things depend on the species, obviously, because fish operate at different depths and darknesses. And you could say, in fact, because they've got no ears, they must be really hard of hearing. Anyway, so I thought I'd get me snorkel on and ask some fish what they thought of the book. Hello, Mr. Halibut. How are you? Good. I'm glad to hear it. So you know this Jonathan Balcom book? What? A fish knows? No. What a fish knows? I'm wondering, have you read it? Oh, so you enjoyed it, but you thought it lacked soul. Why? Did they not get a mention? So you don't like human jokes? Yes, but not just mine. Anyway, another question I really want to ask you. When you expel air from your arses, is this actually a fish fart? Oh, thanks, Mr. Fish. I'm coming back up for air now. It's starting to smell down here.
The Frogbit blog.
This article popped up, 25 facts about animals you didn't know. And some quite interesting ones. I'm not going to do them all. 25 will be a bit much. I might do some more in future episodes, but I'm going to pick the first few. I'm not selecting them at random. These are as they come. So here's some interesting animal facts. Female dragonflies will sometimes fake their own death to avoid mating with a male. That sounds like my sex life. Next one. Male giraffes will smell and drink a female giraffe's urine to tell if she's ready to mate. Again, sounds like my sex life.
Oh, the pain!
But seriously, have you noticed that animal urine gets mentioned quite a lot in the show? Not intentionally, I might add. It just seems to come up in conversation and I'm not sure why. Here's an interesting one. Flatworms contain both male and female reproductive genitalia, and two flatworms will penis fence until one has successfully jabbed and inseminated the other. I'm not sure what a penis fence is, but I don't think it's one of them things that you can buy at B&Q.
Oh my god.
Actually, penis fencing might be a bit like cockfighting.
Oh, crap.
And one more. To avoid being eaten by the female, a male Argonaut octopus may detach its mating arm and leave it in the female before swimming away to safety. Don't try this in your local pool, folks. And we'll do one more. During mating, male pigs can ejaculate continuously for approximately 6 minutes. Now that definitely does sound like my sex life.
Okay, Paddy. And does it also say the pig only manages to last 6 seconds before it ejaculates?
Ah, very good, Mary. Tell the listeners you're only joking, Mary. Please.
No, I'm really not joking.
The Frogbit blog.
Right, remember last week I did the Ed Sheeran interview? Well, this is where I have to do me apologies and corrections, or is it corrections and apologies? I can't remember. Well, after the Ed Sheeran interview last week, you can well imagine Ed Sheeran's lawyers have come down hard after the interview that he gave last week. And can you believe this? They're saying it wasn't real and it was actually fake news. Here's the letter anyway. Dear Mr. Frogbit, it has been brought to attention that you did mimic an interview with our client, Mr. Engelbert Sheeran, or Ed for sure. Is that what it is, Engelbert? Not only that, you portrayed Mr. Sheeran to be Irish. Oh, what have you got against the Irish then, eh? You also implied that he hated newts, especially with the lines, feck, 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 feck of newts. feck off, newts. Get off my land. Our client wishes to express his empathy with nature, except when it gets in the way of him building a fecking big meditation chapel. So feck off, you big fecker. Please desist immediately, or we will make Ed come on and sing for you, which we do realise is a cruel and harsh punishment for such a demeanour. But Ed's like that. He's very rich, and we have to humour him and pretend he's a talented. Signed, Sue, Grabbit and Bastard Solicitors. Well, I wasn't having any of that, listeners, as you can imagine. So I thought I'd get Ed on the phone and ask him what the problem was.
Hello, Ed Sheeran here, guest of the famous Frogbit blog show.
Oh, hi, Ed, it's me. Oh, thanks for mentioning me, mate.
Oh, no problem. My record sales have gone through the roof since I was on your show. I've even done a 12-inch remix of Feck Off Newts. Everywhere I go, I hear people singing feck off newts, get off my land. It's huge in the nightclubs of Suffolk. It's my biggest hit to date. Do you want to hear it?
What, all 12 inches of it?
No, because it does go on a bit. Just the disco remix.
Oh, okay then.
Feck off newts. 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 Feck off newts.
Very good, Ed. Very good. How's it going with the newts?
Well, it's difficult to be sure. Them newts have great lawyers, you know. It's harder than trying to get friggin' gypsies off your land.
Ed, you can't say that.
Oh, I'm sorry, but anyway, I was wondering if I could have a few more Irish accent lessons from you. It's opened up a whole new market for me with the accent. The Americans feckin' love it. Oh, they all seem to think they're related to the Irish.
Look, Ed, I'm going to stop you there before you cause any more trouble. And one last thing. Hey, Sharon, leave them newts alone.
Well, I might do now. Bye.
What a strange fellow. And I also, just to compound it, I had a call from Cherry Seaborn's lawyers. You know Cherry Seaborn? No, it's not a kind of sweet or a flavour of crisp, but it's Ed's wife. Anyway, her lawyers have said, Dear Mr. Frogbit, you implied our client, Cherry Seaborn, only married Mr. Sheeran because he was rich. And I quote, I met her at school when I was thick. But I'm rich now, so she married me quick. We insist that you understand and tell your listeners Miss Seaborn was never going to marry a tubby ginger kid without some sort of financial inducement, and we think that's fair enough, don't you? Well, fair enough. I should also point out that the song was written by the Ginger Kid, not me. But anyway, I think that's quite enough from that family for a while. They're troublemakers, aren't they, the Sheerans? Troublemakers. Leave the newts alone. Now, another episode in my series.
Frogbit on drugs.
I should point out about this Frogbit on drugs thing. I'm not endorsing drugs. It's quite interesting because when I do my research, I signed up to this thing called Flipboard. And it's like an online magazine, and you can click a few different topics. I think I've got things like science and green living and climate change, and it finds articles from all over the world or all over the press for you that you can read. And sometimes there just seems to be a load of them about drugs. And there has been in this week when I've been looking. Now, remember a few episodes? I did an episode ago in The High of the Tiger about animals. Remember The High of the Tiger? The High of the Tiger! Yeah! Well, I missed one out. This one didn't come up, and it popped up in the science article I was reading, so I thought I would have a look further. And apparently, mice are attracted to cannabis plants. Police in Wichita, Kansas have discovered what potheads who'd stored their stash under the bed or in their walls have known for years. Mice consider a tangle of weed to be a comfy home. A comfy home. 3 bags of marijuana at the police storage facility in Wichita have been torn open. Some was missing. At first blush, it seemed a clear case of evidence tampering. Wichita police duly investigated. Police Lieutenant Doug Nolte said mice chewed into the bags of marijuana from some 2009 cases, nested in it, and ate some. Mice like the smell of marijuana, apparently, or possibly they like to get high. They do have cannabinoid receptors, so the drug can affect their minds. But also, a big, tightly packed block of smelly leaves is like an ideal home for a mouse or a mouse house. So we have lots of mice in our garden because, I built loads of dry stone walls, as you may remember when I sang,
I'm like a dry stone cowboy. Yeah, I learned all I know from a YouTube video. Like a dry stone cowboy, getting rocks and pebbles and the farmer don't even know. In my rocks I can carry them home.
Now, I'm worried that I might have the drug squad round if they're busy bringing stolen stash to smoke in my garden. That's the mice, not the police. Actually, though to be honest, both scenarios are just as likely. Now, the next dope story, this was from the Bristol Post, and this popped up. This Bristol man cycled 19,000 miles around the world while totally high. There are no limits to my daily amounts of weed or distance, he says. Ha ha ha. A fitness fanatic is trying to show people that not all cannabis users are lazy by cycling the world while high. Roger Boyd starts every day with a 20-mile warm-up ride before taking giant totes of weed and cycling for up to another 100 miles. The 37-year-old who documents his travels on his blog, healthystoner.com, reckons he's cycled an astonishing 19,000 miles in the past 2 years, most of it while high, but he doesn't remember any of it. Anyway, ultra-fit Roger from Bristol documents his travels by posting pictures from all the locations he's cycled through while high on cannabis. Between 2015 and 2017, Roger covered 19,000 miles cycling across Europe, India, Nepal, Australia and New Zealand, all while stoned. And the funny thing is you can see these pictures of him in the Bristol Post holding up little bits of cannabis in front of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Though funnily enough, he said it looked straight. He said, "What a brilliant once-in-a-lifetime experience. It's an experience I've already forgot due to the short-term memory loss I'm suffered. I'm sure it was great, though I haven't got a fucking clue." No, I added that bit, actually. And the third one, is it high time to get married? Well, now you can. The legalization of recreational marijuana in a handful of states opened the doors to all sorts of cannabis-laden commerce, from dinner service to vacation packages. It was inevitable that weddings, amongst the most expensive purchase an adult will ever make, would find a way to introduce weed into nuptials, receptions and party favors. Specialists have launched entire businesses to meet this new wedding weed demand. In Colorado, where recreational marijuana has been legally sold since 2014, Beck Coop operates cannabis-friendly wedding and events and is one of the founders of Cannabis Wedding Expo, an event where brides and grooms can meet marijuana vendors. Coop offers a litany of wedding services, day of coordination, overall planning, floral arrangements, cannabis open bars. Some marijuana tourists who travel from out of state to get married in scenic Colorado. These couples tend to go with a more low-key approach, a single bud of marijuana in the bouquet, perhaps and a bud bar at reception. The other half of Irie's clients are locals who are very avid cannabis users. These couples will often incorporate the plant throughout the wedding. Listen, they may take a first toke together before the first kiss, often from a pipe with 2 openings. similar in ceremonial value to lighting a unity candle. They're loud and proud, Coob says. A hemp silk wedding dress, a hemp suit, and a budke. You can crack it from your bouquet to your bowl. Can you imagine the scenes? Repeat after me. I, John Smith.
I who? What's my name?
John Smith.
Oh, hi, John Smith. I get it. Hi, John Smith.
Do take thee, Priscilla Winkler.
Priscilla Winkler? Who's that? What a daft name.
That's the woman you're going to marry.
Oh, sorry, forgot.
Where's the ring?
What?
The ring for her finger.
Oh, geez, man, I haven't a clue.
Oh, sorry, you're married. Now piss off, you stoners. Right, that'll do for this week's episode. I'm still meant to be getting the minimalists on, but they're too busy. But they are going to come on sooner or later. I'm going to have an interview with some minimalists. So you don't just have to listen to me rambling on. You can listen to some minimalists. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the show. And I'll have a good week and I'll see you soon. Or a fortnight, however long it is. I'll see you soon. Bye.
Frogbit blog. The Frogbit blog. Frogbit blog. The Frogbit blog.